welcome back to another special edition of Poor Man Sports. I am one of your hosts, Alberto, and joined by Eric and Josh, the two football heads here on this podcast. I'm. We got a lot to discuss tonight, a lot to get into. At the time of this recording, Seahawks games are still going on, but we're just going to go ahead and get into the two more important games: Broncos, Patriots, and I'm sure later on we'll discuss the Seahawks and LA Rams, right?
LA Rams.
LA Rams.
And there was no need for banging at the beginning of the episode, and that's important for people to understand. So
Yes. So let's dive right in. Let's get right in. I didn't really come too prepared on this one. I did watch this game, not as intently as I'm sure Josh did, but let's just get into the outcome. The Broncos lost this game. Believe it's 10-7. Patriots. They now advance. They are going to the Super Bowl. I want to get Josh's immediate thoughts on this one. Let's get right into it. What do you think, Josh?
There's a lot of back and forth, right? You know, do I really believe that we had a chance? Yes. Is a part of me not surprised? Yeah. You know, the logical side of me, it's just a lot of obstacles. I don't think we even predicted this weather to be the way that it was. So, we talked earlier, you know, no backup quarterback playing in this game, right? Which is a little bit of a crutch, but we still can trust the coach calling, the play calling, Sean Payton. Yes, I'll say it. I do think he's the best coach in the NFL. I don't give a fuck what you think, Eric. The weather was ugly.
I don't know why you're saying that like a shitty towards me. I've never really said anything about that.
Well, I'm just going back from a text message earlier, right? You get me. I see what you're doing. No, it's just the weather got ugly. It was extremely difficult to throw the ball down the field, run the ball down the field. There was some questionable play calling. Obviously, we had a great reputation all season, 4-1, being able to get down there. That was our Achilles. Should have kicked a field goal, in my opinion. I can see why Sean Payton did it, but with the obstacles, backup quarterback, ugly weather, snow, the wind, going up against those white jerseys, they had control of the game in the second half. That's all I'll say as of right now.
Okay. Are you that's it? That's all you got to say?
That's all I got as of right now. I'll have more to say
But
a little bit later.
This is it. This is the pod show, Josh. This is where you get to air out your feelings. I mean, what else is going through any raw emotions? What's going on? This is a very muted response, Josh. I wasn't expecting a very conservative response here. You're just kind of like, are you still?
I'm still soaking it in. It sucks, man.
I know. I know the feeling, dude. I know the feeling.
It's been
I do
10
know
years.
Yeah. Dude, first of all, I know Josh is exhausted. This was the AFC title game. You're on the doorstep of the Super Bowl, and it just sucked for the Broncos, dude. It just sucked because I do think that if Bo Nix had played in the game, you guys would have won this game. I think you guys would have won pretty convincingly. I don't think you would have blown them out, but I think you would have handled this game by 10 points, right? I really do. I think that it would have been like 20 to 10. I don't know, right? So, look, the snow factor, I mean, it kicked in the third quarter. I must remind you, the Eagles played in a blizzard last year in the postseason last year, but the difference was how we won that game is we ran the ball. Like Barkley had 205 yards rushing. That's why we won in the snow. And the Broncos just could not get that going, which was shocking because I think Josh and I talked on the phone before this game, and I think that was what you really were hoping you guys were going to lean on was the run game. And dude, the Patriots just took that away from you guys. They took it away from you guys, and they put it in the hands of a guy that did not start a lot of games. And you know what? Jarrett Stidham wasn't even that bad. He just wasn't good enough for the moment in today. Like I did tell Josh before this game, Bert, that I don't know why I just called you Bert, but just
That's
sounded
fine.
quicker to say.
That's okay.
But anyway,
Yep.
I told Josh before this game that I felt like it was going to come down. It was going to be a very low scoring game, is what I told Josh. And boy, was it a low scoring game.
Yeah, it was.
I did tell him, I said, look, this is going to be a low scoring game. It's going to come down to some kind of turnover. And that weird backwards pass, fumble, whatever it was, that was it. That was one factor because the Patriots turned around and scored a touchdown right away when that happened. And then, Josh also told me about, Sean Payton and how he feels about him being the best coach in the NFL. Not really here to debate that. That call to not go for the 3, that was, I don't know. If you have Bo Nix in the game, I can see why you'd do that because that's your guy, that's your quarterback. You can utilize his talents in different ways. You should have taken the 3.
I'm back and forth with this. Sean Payton is a player's coach. He instills confidence. He is.
I don't know if he's a player's coach, but he's a damn good coach. I think players' coaches are a little different. I think he's a player development, and he holds a high expectation.
That's what I mean. He built players trust in him. Players want to play with him. That's what I mean. That he's a player's coach. Unless I'm not using the right definition or right whatever you want to call it. I can see why he did it. I'm back and forth with this, right? You have a quarterback that has potential, who you want to build up confident, and this is the best way to do it. Okay? What was it? His third time having the ball, excuse me. He was able to actually throw it down deep. Okay? He was then able to immediately give us a touchdown.
Yeah.
If he had completed that pass, 4th and 1, and scored us another touchdown, that would have also elevated his confidence, and that's what Sean Payton was trying to do.
Okay.
That's why I'm kind of back and forth in that. So he's trying to instill confidence. It's early in the game. You have a backup quarterback that's under a lot of pressure. You saw it in his first drive early in the game. And then he instilled confidence. He was getting better. And then he just wanted him to make that play. And we did have a reputation all season to convert 4-and-1s, convert the first downs from 4-and-1. I think we do actually have a higher percentage. I'm going to have to actually fact check myself on that. But, of course, different quarterback. I knew this was going to be a low-scoring game. I told you guys previous it was going to be 13-7, 13 or 17 Broncos, right? Yeah, I don't know. I'm back and forth with the field goal. I'm back and forth with some of the timeouts that we called as well. It is what it is.
It's sort of what it is. See, that's a little bit more of an emotional response right there, Alberto. You got to just kind of get it out of them, and I understand it. I'm not poking fun. I want you to be able to say these things, Josh. Honestly,
sure.
I really think. I really think you guys just needed Bowman. You needed your quarterback because when the weather got bad, when the weather did get bad, look, I know. Look, the snow happened. It is what it is. Both teams had to play in it. I don't know about the white jersey thing. I'm not going to go there, but I understand the weather. I don't want to talk about the white jersey.
You're saying that was a big.
I just don't want to hear that.
Okay.
Was the weather a factor?
I'm not saying that it was cheap or cheating or whatever you want to call it.
No,
But
no,
when it
no,
gets
no, no,
so
no,
bright out there, so
no,
windy,
no, no. Not cheating. I don't
yeah,
think that. I'm talking
that's a
about like
little bit of an advantage.
let's not use well maybe. I don't know. Look,
It's an obstacle.
you know what I noticed about this game as it progressed? That first quarter, Jared Stidham he had a really nice throw, dude, early in the game. Really nice drive. And I thought, oh, here we go. They're ready. They're prepared. Like Sean Payton's got this guy ready to go. And I think he did have him ready to go. But
Sure,
it just
sure,
started to feel
absolutely.
like as we got into the second quarter after that weird turnover, the Patriots started to kind of figure out how to defend. You know what I mean? Like
Agree.
all of a sudden they started taking away the run game. They started to put it in Jarrett's hands, and it just didn't look. It just started to look like they started to grasp a little bit of control on the game, and it held. It was enough. And look, Drake May, out of all the ways you were going to lose to Drake May, he beat you guys with his legs. He had 65 yards rushing on like 10 carries.
And a touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about, Josh. That's why I'm saying you missed Bo Nix, because Bo Nix would have had that element. You don't think about Drake May running the football, do you? Do you think of Drake May as a runner?
No, no,
He killed you
no.
guys with his. He killed, dude, in the most pivotal moments of the game. He fucking got you guys. Whether it was rushing for the touchdown, he had that scramble up the middle for like 25 yards or something.
Yeah,
And then there was one at the
to,
end that he rushed. It was like 15 yards. He just killed you
yeah,
guys with that.
to your point, we didn't fail offensively. We have a defensive struggle. We're the best defensive team in the NFL. We're known for stopping the run game. Stevenson had 71 yards, 25 attempts,
It was Drake May,
and
65
Drake
yards.
May had 65 yards and a touchdown.
Killed. That was the biggest part of the game I did not expect for the Patriots to win, because if you look at Drake May's numbers, Jared Stidham played better than he did throwing the football by a mile. Like, I mean, I think Drake May was 49% in 86 yards passing. Horrible.
48% completion rate. He averaged 4 yards an attempt.
Yeah, it was terrible. He was not great throwing the football.
He was also sacked 5 times.
Yeah. But he killed you with his legs, and it's astonishing. And I'm trying to tell you, that's where I think the Broncos would have won, particularly in the second half. Bo Nix would have provided that for you.
Yeah, no, Stidham doesn't have the athleticism. He's not as quick. I don't disagree with that at all. But our defense should have stopped the run game, whether it was from May, Stevenson, Henderson. They shouldn't have put up those many yards rushing the ball. And unfortunately, they exposed us. And as much as I hate him, Josh McDaniels doing work. This guy gets a head coaching job. He gets fired. He goes to the Patriots. He gets a Super Bowl. Gets another head coaching job. Gets fired. Goes back to the Patriots. Gets another.
No, it's so crazy.
Like that is his story in a nutshell. And
it is crazy.
He is peaked at it as the greatest offensive coordinator of all time.
Be, dude.
Good for him.
He might be, dude.
Good for him.
He might be the greatest OC ever, because to your point, he was with Bill Belichick, right? And Tom Brady. This isn't Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
Yeah,
you know,
no, I don't disagree.
It's a whole different deal, and he's still there. The organization has kept him there for a reason, and it makes you wonder.
Those play callings at the end was so discouraging to watch, where they exposed our offense, and they knew, they were so confident that we didn't have an answer, that they would purposely run it 4-0. Every drive.
What do you mean? You mean 0-4?
0-4. Excuse me.
They went 3 and out. That's what you're saying? Yes.
Yeah, they kept going 3 and out. My apologies. They purposely were just running the ball, killing the clock, getting ready to punt the ball, running the clock, right?
Yeah, it was very strange.
And
it was. Yeah, I mean, it worked.
And knowing and confidently that our offense had no answer.
Yes, they knew
And
it.
that was
They
at
knew
the,
it.
what, mid third quarter is when they started doing that.
It was when the snow and the wind really got bad. They started doing that. And
And you
like,
have to give to Josh
yeah,
Daniels for that.
yeah, I know it's so strange. He's been such a failure as a head coach twice, but he's just been so great as an offensive coordinator for the Patriots. It's unbelievable.
Wasn't he a
It's
head coach
unbelievable.
for three teams?
I think two, the Broncos and the Raiders, and he was fired quickly. Like I think he was fired in like mid-season in
Yeah.
both those attempts. It's unbelievable that guy's career that I can't even like sitting here talking about it now that I'm realizing I can't believe we'll never see anything like that where a guy fails like that and then he just goes right back to the Patriots and is just successful as a coordinator. I think you're right. I think there's something he has as just an offensive coordinator that is just different than anybody else. So this is where the league is at though, and I've been talking about it. This is where the league's at with these more athletic quarterbacks. And even though that Drake May is like he kind of has like the prototype build of a pocket passer because that's what he is, he still has he's so incredibly athletic. Those scrambles I couldn't believe how fast I mean, I've seen him run the ball, but this was like the AFC Championship game and I'm like, "Damn, dude, like he is just like out there something happened in that Bills game because you guys gave up a lot of rushing yards in that game. And then it translated again to this week. And it's just shocking. That's what killed you guys in the end. You got to be able to run the ball, dude. You got to be able to run the ball to win right now. Right? In today's NFL, running the ball is huge. And it's either going to be the running
I don't
back.
even. We can't trust our running game right now. It's so horrid. We had one good game where we ran the ball really well, and that was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is extremely sad, and we lost that game. Um, but I can see why we didn't have faith in it. Um,
It feels like that game against the Jags kind of sunk you guys a little bit moving forward because they went in Denver. They
well,
put up a ton of yards. They put up a lot
Trevor
of points.
Lawrence ran all over us. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it seemed like the game against the Jaguars when we go back when you lost that game, something about that game translated and it caught up to you
I
guys.
think I think we got exposed. I think other teams
Something.
kind of they picked that up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, because after that we were 100% exposed, and yeah, every game afterwards. To your point, um, yeah, we we played terrible. We
Yeah.
played terrible.
Look, I had no skin in this game. I I felt bad for you guys. Like I got no bones to pick with the Broncos as an Eagles fan. I don't. And I don't like the Patriots. I don't. But I just look, if you're Bo Nix, I don't speak for Bo Nix. I don't speak for Bronco fans. Internally, him sitting up in that box watching that game, do you think he was relieved you guys lost? I know that sounds crazy to say because it's a team sport and you want to be supportive of your team, but I think it shows the value that he has to your team. And I think it saved his legacy a little bit, as weird as that sounds. Because now Bronco fans are going to look at it and be like, we needed Bo Nix. And you
That's
did.
a
In my
really
opinion, you did.
that's an interesting thought process because, and I think that's a fair question to ask because I don't know what Bo Nix is going to bring to the table next season.
Well, I think
You know,
I don't know either. I don't know either. Look, the league is just, you never know who's going to be great next year, right? Look, yeah, I think Bronco fans, I think you guys, look, I don't, what I'm really just asking a weird hypothetical question. Bo Nix will never speak about it, but internally, if I'm Bo Nix internally, I'm a little relieved because had the team continued on, won the game, got into the Super Bowl, say they win the Super Bowl, that could be damaging to your ego. We've seen it happen with Carson Wentz. I've
100%.
seen that happen
I don't
firsthand.
disagree. I don't
So
disagree. But then also the organization is in a bind because now you start over and you have these two quarterbacks pitting against one another. What a lot of people forget is when Bo Nix was drafted, these two were actually Stidham was the guy. He was actually projected to be our starting quarterback. It was between Bo Nix and him, and Bo Nix got the starting position. I think this would have actually started that process all over again. And next season, 26-27, they would have been battling for that starting position again.
maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
And then there's that question, or as well, from a business perspective, right? Is now you have Stidham. He's won you a Super Bowl. I know this is obviously hypothetically speaking, but
Yeah.
Do you trade him? Do you give like for value for a draft pick? But then do you see him flourish somewhere else? And then there's that what if possibility, right? So yeah, that's just so tough.
It saved
It's
his
so
legacy.
interesting.
It is temporarily saved his legacy. I'm telling you, dude.
No,
And I
I
think
don't disagree.
I think the fans, for the most part, are going to. I think the fans, for the most part, Josh, are going to be very relieved to see him back next season. I do. I think you guys are going to have faith in him because you're going to go into next season thinking, okay, we got our quarterback back. We can make another run. And I think the Broncos can. I think you guys are in a good spot. I think you're in a good spot.
Josh, Eric, I was telling you this in the chat that I'm impressed that the Broncos had gotten this far. So sticking to this, season, and I want to bring this out of Josh. I know this is still kind of like you're processing the game and everything, but how do you explain to a Broncos fan that despite this heartbreaking end, Bo Nix getting injured and everything like that, that this was still a strong season for the Broncos? Or do you not agree at all with that like
No,
statement?
man. It depends on which Josh you get, right? One part of me wants to say, okay, the future looks bright for us. Okay, we have a very young defensive team. We have a young quarterback. Our offense is good enough right now. Eventually, it's going to get better. So we can potentially, and we have Sean Payton, right? So year after year, we are going to progress. Okay. The other part of me also wants to just say, logically, we should have win. We should have never been in this position. We should have never won most of those games. Call it whatever you want. Good coach playing. Good coach playing. The refs were in on it, right? Bad ref calling. To luck. Luck has a big part on it. I don't know if we can do this year over year. If we start 2026 barely making it to the playoffs or not going to the playoffs, part of me doesn't. I would be surprised. So what I'm saying is that that's a loaded question. It's a hard question for me to really answer because there's a lot of mixed emotions. Because part of me is very happy we got this far, and I see the light at the end of the tunnel. But then also part of me is like, shit, what really got us here as a fan, And I'm not talking about as a Bronco fan, but and I think Eric knows more about this about me, is I'm very like analytical, I'm very logical, and I question a lot of things, not just as a fan, but as a fan of the sport, not as a fan of just the Denver Broncos, but as a fan of the sport. Is, man, I I don't see us being on the same level next year, especially if Bo Nix doesn't improve or get better. And in a lot of ways, when you do get injured, you are taking 50 steps backwards, right? Does your body heal? Do you have the same mentality, the same grit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
So
mean, I think
not a fair answer. I apologize. I probably didn't answer your question, but
No, that's
that's
still
kind of my thought process.
it's kind of what I
So
was wanting to get into was your thought process about it all. So what about you, Eric? I know you say you got no kind of skin in this one, but still, what are your
yeah,
same kind of the same thing, but for you,
yeah. Look, real quick, just the Seahawks just won, so they'll be going to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. So, but to answer your question, um, I think the Broncos had a great season. You were 14-3.
great,
You got to the
great.
AFC Championship game. You've got a great coach. You lost your starting quarterback, and I think it's as simple as that. Now, next season, who knows? This is this listening to you talk about it, and I can hear your frustration. It's so disappointing to make it that far and lose. This is why I'm grateful that the Eagles have been as good as they are, have been as they have been, getting to Super Bowls, winning a Super Bowl, because to be that good and be consistent is so hard to do. It's so hard to do. And I am fucking grateful we won that Super Bowl last year because you just don't know when you're going to get back. It's so hard to keep continuing to go that deep into the season. Player retention, coach retention, guys get hired, players move on. So being able to continue to draft, keep your important players and continue to build and be competitive and win and get back to Super Bowls and compete for them, it's just so hard to do. And I'm grateful that the Eagles are competitive and been able to win. And I think if you're a Bronco fan, you should be excited. I do think the Broncos are still going to be very competitive next year. We can't get into who's going to be doing what. We just don't know. I think Bo Nix will heal from this, although he does have a little bit of a history of getting injured through his college days and now the NFL. That's something to kind of be like a little bit worried about. Is his health going to maintain moving forward? You just never know.
And that's my frustration with this whole running game. And these quarterbacks are going to get injured more, right? They're going to play hero ball. To your point, you've quoted this several times as well. Um, that's why. If you ask me, what are the two most expendable positions in the NFL right now? It's quarterback and it's head coaching,
It does seem that way.
and it does.
I mean,
Yeah,
those are the
it
first.
absolutely
Those are the
does.
first two things that organizations are going to start over. They're going to think, well, the coach and the quarterback aren't good enough.
You know what is so disgusting about that Patriots game is that May was getting MVP chance. Okay, he had 86 yards,
I know.
0 touchdowns.
I know.
He had a 59%
No, you mean
QB
59
rating.
passer rate, 59 passer rate, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Um, and he was getting MVP chance.
And they
Watch.
skewer Jalen Hurts for what again? So stupid.
You know, that's why to me, like, the quarterback position is just
If that was Jalen Hurts with those numbers with a win, they'd say, get him out of here. It
no,
makes me
they
sick.
would not. They'd make him
They would.
MVP too.
No, I don't believe
They
that.
would make him MVP. Get
I
out
don't
of
believe
here, man.
I don't believe that. Well, you want to know how I know? Because he's been around for 6 seasons and I've not heard that. It's every time this guy has a mediocre game that, by the way, and he doesn't even have games like that rarely. And but he could have good games, and they'll look for
So
every
you're telling
reason to
me.
not credit him.
So you're telling me if May had the season that he was having, but you take the wins away, the Patriots wouldn't be second guessing him as a starting quarterback.
Well, they're not second guessing him. He had a very good regular season.
If he didn't have a good regular season,
Oh, I think there'd be questions, but not that many because it's his second year with a new coach. But he'd get the questioning a little bit.
There would be
a little bit.
doubt. He
There would be
because
doubt.
that position is expendable.
I know,
That's
but
what I'm getting.
I'm just saying that Jalen Hurts never got that. He doesn't get that kind of treatment. That's all. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Like the guy was not good today, and like to your point, he gets MVP chance. What? So anyway, it's a tough way to lose. It's sick to see the Patriots. But hey, imagine being, I sent Josh a tweet from someone. I think his name was Tom Kelly, and he was talking about imagine being a Bills fan and you go through 2 decades of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick just running the league, and then they're gone, they leave, and then you have 6 very competitive years with Josh Allen, and you can't get to the Super Bowl, and now here the here the Patriots are going right back to the Super Bowl. That's sickening. That would make me sick.
That
So
just shows you the importance of a good organization. The
yeah,
Patriots are a great organization.
unfortunately,
The Eagles are a great organization. The Chiefs now are a great organization. The Seahawks, going back to the Super Bowl, are a
yeah,
great organization.
yeah,
Well, I
So
mean,
so regardless of how good you are, how inconsistent you are, if you play for the right organization, your chances of going to the Super Bowl are a lot higher.
yeah. It's true.
so let's get
It's
into
true.
this, right? Eric, you said it earlier. Super Bowl is set. We have the Seahawks versus the Patriots. I believe this is the first time the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl since 2014. Or am I wrong?
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
No, you're right.
Um,
Correct.
what's the narrative here between the Patriots and the Seahawks? Do you think the Seahawks are more prepared for the Patriots style than the Broncos game today? What are we looking at? What are
Yes,
you thinking?
I think they are. I think the Seahawks. This is an early take, but I think the Seahawks are going to win this game.
Mm.
They are better
Mm-hmm.
defensively. They have a very strong run game. Sam Darnold has played well enough. I don't think he's great, but he's good enough to where he played a great game tonight. If you look at
Mm-hmm.
his if you look at his stat line, he was very good. Threw 3 touchdown passes. I don't remember what his yards were, but they were very good. And it was somewhere between 250 and 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Um, he's proving that he isn't necessarily melting down. I thought he'd melt, but um, I think the Seahawks are going to win this game. I actually think they're going to win it pretty easily. I don't think it's going to be that close.
Really? What's it going to come down to? You think?
Oh, I think it's going to come down to Drake May's not seen a defense like this. But the Patriots are very good. I don't want to take anything away from them. They went 14-3, and now they're in the Super Bowl. But let's be honest, they did have this. They did have the softest schedule when you look at the teams that they played. It was weak in comparison to the Seahawks. Um, they got into the postseason. They played a bad Chargers team that was going into the playoff, a bad Chargers team, and they beat them. Had to kind of grind it out. It was 16-3. Then they played the Texans, who are very good on defense, but have a just. I'm sorry, the Texans and C.J. Stroud just offensively were not very good. They didn't have their number one wide receiver Nico Collins in that game, but I think they would have probably won anyway. But the game was still kind of close, um, despite C.J. Stroud throwing 4 interceptions. The game was still very close. And then they go into the Denver game, this game today against the Broncos, and they don't have their starting quarterback, and they get into the Super Bowl. So, and I just think that the Seahawks just destroyed the 49ers, and then they beat the Rams again. They had to play them for 3 times. They had to play their division rivals, eat 2 of them 3 times. That's so hard to do, and they overcame that. And I just think that they're a better coach team. They're very good on defense. I know the Rams kind of have their number with scoring points and putting up yards, but that's kind of the only team that's been able to do that against them. I don't think the Patriots are going to have that. I just don't. I think Drake May is going to run into a brick wall, and it's going to come down to that. I think it's going to come down to the quarterback play. Sam Darnold will make less mistakes in the Super Bowl. I think Drake May will make a few more. You're not going to be able to go 10 for 21 for 86 yards against the Seahawks and win. You're just not. And that's what I think. I don't even think it's going to be close. And that's why I'm sick to my stomach as sitting here as an Eagles fan, because had we just had our shit together and played better football, we'd be going back and we'd be doing the same thing to the Patriots that I think the Seahawks are going to do. But it is what it is.
Josh, do you think if the Seahawks win, as Eric's predicting, you think they're poised to finally move past that narrative of close, but they're not champions since their 2014, like the last time that they won?
First off, I don't even think the Seahawks are going to win.
You don't think so?
Ooh.
And I think the Patriots are going to actually win this game. And Eric, I know you're shitting on May. I'm guilty of that as well. But he hasn't played great in the postseason at all. Okay.
Who, May?
Yeah. His best game was against the Chargers. He threw for over 268 yards. He had a QB rating of 68%. Against Houston, he had a 20% QB rating, and then a 60% QB rating against the Broncos, 63%, excuse me. He's played like shit in the postseason, and they've been able to win. And unfortunately, I cringe and I hate saying this, being a Bronco fan, because I hate the man so much, because they have Josh McDaniels as their offensive coordinator. So they will offensively figure it out. And I don't want to say their defense is bad. I think their defense is good enough.
Patriots?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Patriots defense is good.
Yeah, they're good enough. Yeah. So I think they have one advantage. I've been talking about this all season. Coaching makes a difference. They have that advantage.
Yeah, that's okay. I think it's you make a good case. I think that they are going to run up against a team that's significantly better than they are. Played a tougher schedule. The NFC West had 3 teams in the playoffs this year, and they had to play their 2 division opponents back to back, which is not easy to do. So,
regardless, if you're playing, if you have an easy schedule or not, you still have to win.
Right. I know, and I pointed that out. I said, look, we don't want to take anything away.
They only lost 3 games, Eric.
I know.
They've only lost 3 games.
I said it.
Any given Sunday.
I said it. I acknowledged it right away. I said, don't take anything away. They won 14 games. They played who they played. They won. I think they're going to go up against a better team, is what I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm actually surprised. I thought, Josh, you'd be going for the Seahawks. I mean, early.
Well, I don't think Josh is going to be hoping the Patriots win. I think he's just thinking they're blowing.
The Patriots win. Just my thought process. I hate the Patriots. They've always been in our way, year over year, right?
Yep.
It's sad that they finally came into our house, finally beat us. That was one thing that Tom Brady wasn't able to do, and May has, and now he's the MVP. Okay. But they have that advantage. How many Super Bowls has Josh McDaniels been to? How many?
A lot. I don't know how many, but a lot. I don't think he was there in the early years. He wasn't there, but it was the later that he was there.
No, I think he was. I think he was the quarterback coach.
Yeah, he might have been on the coaching staff. But he wasn't the coordinator for those first 3 that they won. The first dynasty run they had, I don't think he was the offensive coordinator. But I could be wrong about that.
I mean, I don't know if you both can speak to this, but I mean, like, early Super Bowl odds are giving it to the Seahawks. You don't think that gives them a psychological edge? Or do you think that adds more pressure for the Seahawks. And,
They don't give a shit about that.
okay, all right.
They don't give a shit about that. Yeah, I think that feeds into the fans for the betting aspects and things like that.
Yeah, it's all betting
Mm-hmm.
fans.
That's all it is, right? If anything, like if I'm a player of the game, I'm a coach. That's going to motivate me to be even better. And if we know one thing about the New England Patriots, they strive being the underdogs. You know, and they've
Yeah,
done this before. They've had a
yeah,
young quarterback come in and win him a Super Bowl. You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, I know that with the Eagles, the 2 Super Bowls we won, we were not the favorite. The Patriots were favored in Super Bowl 52, and the Chiefs were favored last year in 59, and we won. So the betting odds, to Josh's point, is more. It's just betting and the fans. But yeah, I don't think this is
yeah.
going to
So
be anything psychological.
Josh McDaniels has been with the organization, New England Patriots organization, since 2001. Started off as a personal assistant. He then was the defensive assistant, which is I find very interesting because he's not a defensive-minded individual based on his history. He was a quarterback coach in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, to Josh's point, I've actually heard some stories about coaches over the years that have been told you need to learn both sides of the football to be
Sure.
really great
Sure.
at what you're doing. And I don't know if all of them have done that, but I have heard that there are guys that have coached on both sides to get an understanding. And so I think that for Josh McDaniels, that certainly has played to his favor.
Sure. And what I'm getting at is that the man has been around for a very long time, since the beginning. Because what the Patriots won their first Super Bowl in 2004,
No. They won in
2001,
2001. I think was the first time.
2001.
And then they won in
Right.
2002. Then they won in
Yeah.
2004, and that was when they were the dynasty.
Okay. So he's been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
So this guy, there's a reason why they keep bringing him back.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
know.
so
I know.
he has the most experience in that organization going to the Super Bowl, and he outplayed us today.
Yeah, he
Best
coached
defense in
well.
the league. So regardless how great your defense is, he's going to expose you guys. Spygate. But anyways,
Yep. It's Drake May with
did
those
it in
legs
Denver.
killing you.
Did it in Denver.
He did it in Denver.
Do you remember
I
that?
remember. Yeah, I do.
Did Spygate in Denver, and then he was fired, and I think he
Yep.
did it with the Raiders as well.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened with the Raiders, but it was a very short. It was a very short run. So
He'll find a way to win this game. So
he might. He might. Look, like I said, I'm not super dedicated to picking the Seahawks like I care that much. I just think they're going to be better. I think they're going to handle it.
Well, I mean, look,
So
looking forward, I know it's still early to talk about this because, season's not over. Super Bowl, we still got that going on. But looking ahead to the future, Eric, we're going to talk about the Eagles here just for a little bit.
yeah,
Does there need to be a cultural reset inside the Eagles organization? Accountability, coaching, scheme. Like, what is it that they need to do to regain their winning status again?
I really love this because this is a big topic of debate in the Eagles community. We have not hired an offensive coordinator yet since the season has ended. We're going on about 2 weeks. There's a bunch of different ways you can look at this. I'm not worried about the Eagles and the player personnel. You guys come and they go. You're going to lose players every year. Every team does. And you're going to have to make difficult decisions. I am starting to wonder, though, how much control does Nick really have? How I'm worried that Nick Sirianni may be limited as a head coach in his ability to really understand the game of coaching, because this is the second season now where we have ended in a year where he picked a coordinator or coordinators. It happened in 2023, and now it happened this year, and it just doesn't work. And then it feels like the organization has to kind of step in and do it for him. And I'm wondering if the Eagles, if Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie being the owner, Howie Roseman being GM, I know they have a very high standard. They have a very high standard. But I'm wondering how much of that is this starting to impact what's going on with our coach? Like, I'm almost thinking that like this upcoming season, the 2026 season, is going to be a very interesting one for the Eagles. And I'm not even thinking about, are we going to be good or bad? I'm wondering how it's going to function with the head coach and how much of this process that we've taken kind of a while now to do with hiring an offensive coordinator. And I understand you don't just want to jump at the first guy and just make a splash hire, because anytime we've hired a coach, like, when we hired Andy Reid, he was a quarterback's coach. Okay, who's he? A lot of success. Doug Peterson, very boring. I remember there was a lot of like groaning, like, who's Doug Peterson? What are we doing? Like, won a Super Bowl. Same thing with Nick Sirianni. When we hired him, nobody knew who the fuck he was. He had a horrible opening press conference, and I remember watching it thinking, who is this guy? Like, he can barely speak at the press conference, but he's been successful. Chip Kelly was our one guy that was a splash hire, and it ended poorly. So that's where I'm looking at it like, okay, they're really turning over every stone, but it feels like we're really turning over every stone, and that worries me a little bit. It doesn't worry me from the perspective that the organization doesn't know what they're doing. I just am thinking, dude, is this a problem with Nick Sirianni? Are we at a point now where it's like maybe we should have moved on from him? I don't know. I'm worried going forward. I'm worried about how this is going to look with this guy moving forward. Like, there's something missing with him in coaching. He's obviously done. There's something he does do well, or we wouldn't be winning, right? We wouldn't be winning. But it almost seems like, is this really just Howie Roseman's ability to know how to draft talent really well, and then hire coaching around him that's been impactful? So I think there's a lot of question marks with the Eagles moving forward. I really do. Not as an organization permanently, but with this current coaching regime that we have with Nick, I think there's a lot of question marks, and I'm as a fan, I'm a little worried about it moving forward.
Josh, have anything to add on top of that, or you when it comes to the Eagles?
I think coaches need to be coaches. I think you got to let your GM office, let them do their thing. I dislike the idea of allowing your head coach to recruit offensive coordinators and things like that, especially when they're so new in the position. I think your success simply because of you're going to the Super Bowl 3 times in the last 10 years is solely because the GM was being the GM. Unfortunately, the GM needs to micromanage certain things.
Yep.
Chip Kelly is a perfect example of that. Didn't they also make him like head office of
Yes.
something?
Yep. In his last year, and it melted down. To Josh's point, I like what Josh just said about this. You're right. The GM needs to be the GM. It's how we do the business side of it, right?
Right.
So we've been very successful with with our structure and our organization and the leadership. So I'm not worried about it from an organizational perspective, but there's something going on with our head coach and with what's going on. Because to Josh's point, we elevated a guy that was not qualified for the job this year. And I feel bad because this guy got elevated in the position and then he got melted by the fans, the media. There was just problems with AJ Brown really being vocal about it. and I think that the guy just wasn't qualified. He just wasn't qualified for the position, and he was Nick's guy. Like, they should have done a little bit more, I think, due diligence in finding the right hire last year, or a different option. I know they went to the Super Bowl, so it's late in the year. There's a lot of guys already taking jobs and moving around by the time the Super Bowl's over, right? Teams are already putting themselves in position to kind of gear up for the next season. So we got into the game late because of that, and our offensive coordinator got promoted. Um, but yeah, it's a very interesting situation for sure.
It's rare when you see successful coaches work in the head office as well. I think it's a very specific situation. But anytime you give a head coach more power than they should, um, people peak. I'm just going to say it, right? There are offensive coordinators that peak at an offensive coordinator position. Josh McDaniels, again, I know I keep going back with him, but he's peaked at the OC. He's the greatest
Yeah,
offensive coordinator of all time. He has peaked, right? Nick, he doesn't belong in the head office, unfortunately. He's not a GM. He's not a VP, whatever you want to call it. You know, you got to let, unfortunately, when it comes to putting your coaching staff together and catering to your teams, you got to, that is the GM's job at the end
yep,
of the day. That is not head coach's job at the end of the day. Mike Shanahan eventually was the GM for the Denver Broncos. He earned that, and he did great things. That's why he had the most wins as a Denver Broncos head coach.
yeah.
You know, I know we're not talking about basketball, but Phil Jackson is another individual as well. These are these are coaches that have won that ability to do those things and to also branch out. But now you're giving it to Chip Kelly. You're giving it to now Nick. Now allowing him to bring in these coaches and things like that. No, it's like your job is to deal with the talent on the field, the play calling, right, and not just manage to that, but manage to the personalities below you. So I think that was Philly's biggest mess up by allowing him to do that. So
Yes, I think there's some truth to that. And again, it was a very small, well, it turned out to be a very big thing, but I don't think Nick has had that kind of power since, I don't think Nick has that power or has had it really a lot since he's been our coach. But this whole thing with these 2 off years, letting him kind of like trusting his decision making on that, it's not been good, dude. And so I don't know what's going on with the Eagles right now and why they haven't selected an OC yet. I don't want to panic because I know the organization, we have a track record. We can get it turned around. We can. But it does give me a lot of concern going into next season for sure because I think they're going to need to find an offensive coordinator that is really going to have to run the offense. And I think that without Nick really being that involved in it, and I think the worry amongst the community of the Eagles fans and the local media is we're interviewing all these offensive coordinators. We haven't hired one yet. Is there something these guys are seeing behind the scenes? Like, is the expectation high? Like, yeah, the expectation is going to be high. And if there's a guy that doesn't want the smoke, like, yeah, dude, go to the Chargers, go to the Titans, because you'll be glorified if you win 8 games in Tennessee. Okay, Brian Daboll, if you want to go there, go there. We don't want you if you don't want to be in Philadelphia. I just wonder what's going on. I mean, we've interviewed like 10 guys, and I'm just wondering some of these guys are taking jobs elsewhere. I just don't know. And we don't want to turn into the organization that's just firing offensive coordinators every year. That's not a good look either, where, hey, you can come to Philadelphia. Yeah, you can win a Super Bowl and become a head coach. But if you don't get it done in year one, you're out of here. And that's damaging to that can be damaging to a guy's career. And that makes me wonder, like, is there something going on with Nick in this equation? I don't know. This is where I'm not an expert. I'm not an insider. I'm just looking at it from the outside, and it feels a little weird right now. So, but again, this all goes away when you hire a guy and you go into next season. If you start winning games, then you forget about it, right? So I'm worried, Alberto. To answer your question, I'm a little worried about it.
That's fair enough. Josh, I'll give you a question kind of similar with the Broncos, and then we'll probably end it here for tonight. But What is the biggest lesson that the Broncos must learn after losing the AFC Championship? I know it's
We
a loaded question. I know.
we gotta elevate Bo Nix. We gotta trust in him. We gotta give him a better O line. And our run game has to elevate and get better. If we don't improve the O line, if we don't improve the run game, we're going to be back to square one. Those are our two biggest obstacles. We have all the right pieces in place. We just have to fine tune those things. And Sutton needs to. We need to do something with this guy. He's our number one receiver. Again, today it was a no-show. I think he only had like 17 yards, 4 catches. He's not our best receiver right now.
No.
And I would be surprised if we draft or trade a receiver in the offseason.
Yeah, I agree with Josh on that take. You got to figure something else out at that position. He's not the number one guy. He's not a wide receiver one. You can't. He's not the guy. He'd be great too if you had an elite guy on the other side. He would benefit from that. I think it would take the pressure off him. It feels like he just drops passes. Like, that's mental, dude.
Yeah, give him the hardest pass and he'll give it. He'll get it, right? Give him the easiest, he'll drop it.
Yeah, it's weird. He's not your guy.
Do you think that Denver needs to modernize their offense, or do you think they should stay current with the current scheme, with the current Peyton scheme here, the structure?
We have no choice. We have no choice. Eric said this a while back. The league is adapting. I will continue to hate this quarterback style, but unfortunately, what else can you really do when quarterbacks have changed their play style? This is the style that they're given in college.
Yep.
So when they go into the NFL, they're ready for this. And the league has been talking about this for, and I talked to Eric about this earlier this morning. The league has been talking about this style for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Since Chip Kelly came into the league and won that Super Bowl, every team.
Not Chip Kelly.
No, I feel like ever since he's brought that in, that's
right.
But
he didn't win a Super Bowl. He didn't win a Super Bowl.
With Nick Foles?
That was Doug Peterson.
Was that Doug Peterson?
Doug Peterson was our head coach when we won the Super Bowl, and that was what I was highlighting earlier when I was talking about the Eagles. We've hired coaches in the past where people are kind of groaning, like, who is this guy? And they end up being very successful. Whereas Chip Kelly was like a big splash hire, and he came into the league and failed. But to your point, he is the one that really, in college, he's the one who really designed this style of offense where you can win with quarterbacks like that, or play at like a high level and it's exciting and it's a lot of yards. It seems like that blueprint has now evolved. Like, actual real NFL coaches have figured out a way to like refine kind of like the RPO, a lot of play action. To your point, that's what you're trying to make. Like, yes, I do think he made. No, you're fine. I do think he made an impact in some weird way, though. Like, something about that he impacted. He proved that, like, hey, you can produce a lot of yards and points, and I can do it with a lot of different quarterbacks, because he even had some success with Mark Sanchez doing that. It was never like ultimate success, but there were games you're like, wow, where did Mark Sanchez come from playing like this?
Right.
Like, so I think you have a point. And I think the Patriots did a lot of that too. Remember, Bill Belichick was always like taking notes off of Chip Kelly's style, but he was refining it a certain way, like at a higher level, Yeah. Josh hates this. Josh hates where the NFL's at with quarterbacks, but it's just what it is.
Now, if you have like if you were to ask me what like Josh Allen is missing, you know, they need to change it to where he is a legitimate 90% of the time, 80% of the time pocket passer,
Yeah, he needs to be
right?
throwing more.
You know, he needs to be throwing because he does have a great arm. I don't care
Yes.
what you say about his accuracy. I think his accuracy is actually legit.
No, he's fine.
You know, he
He's
is
accurate.
well, a lot of people question it because he's played for shitty teams, right? And unfortunately he's pressured and he's forced to throw more interceptions than he should. But Tom Brady, when he transitioned from the Patriots to the Bucks, he was like, I am the system. Give me a legitimate O line. I will do the rest. Josh Allen needs to do that. Mahomes can do that as well. Other than that, Stafford can be that quarterback. Other than that, I don't know what other quarterback has that play style. They have to be outside of the box. They have to be on the move.
Yeah, it seems like that position. It's hard to think of a guy that does it at a really, really, really high level and wins. I can't think of one right now. They're all the quarterbacks right now that have been winning for the most part had that element of being able to move with the football. Jalen Hurts being one of them. So, I mean, Matt Stafford won it in 2021, but he didn't. He's not going to win it this year. So, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
all right, folks. Well, I mean, that's going to do it for tonight's episode. The league is ready to hit a reset because the next one is the big one, Super Bowl 60, Patriots, Seahawks. This is where it ends, and we'll be there to cover it. We'll
Yep.
be every step of the way. So, and giving you our poor man takes on this next game, the final game. You know, this whole podcast started with the NFL. We kind of came in a little bit late, and we'll discuss with you guys in the next episode what we're going to be doing. Where we hopefully with what you, Eric, and you, Josh, want to be taking the podcast further. Whether we cover NBA, but I know Josh would be happy to do that. Eric, I'm not sure. I know you're not sort of a huge NBA fan, or as well versed. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not as well versed. I can watch basketball. I can
All right.
sit and watch it and understand it enough to speak in depth about it. I would have to learn a little bit more in terms of like understanding the importance of positions and formations and play styles of the NBA. And you know, there's a lot with like how you utilize centers and power forwards and the style that you want to play. But you know,
Well, if
I
that
think I
doesn't
could figure it
you know,
out. Well,
if
we'll
that,
see. It's sport, right?
yeah. And you know what's another sport is WWE. So we'll be covering that. We are going to be covering the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. I'm just kidding. We're probably not going to do that on this one, but
Why not? And then
Why
every
not,
month
dude?
there's
We
a
could.
pay-per-view event.
well, shit.
We could.
Maybe we'll cover WWE.
We
I
could.
don't know.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
seriously.
So
And then you could bring Edgar on for the WWE one.
yeah.
Get his because he knows he could get his first 2 cents in. Be fine.
Yeah, that's a good point. We also do another podcast, Show Us Your Basement. You can go ahead and watch that as well. It is called Show Us Your Basement. You can search it up on YouTube. We're on TikTok, on Instagram. Poor Man Sports will be getting their social media soon. I'm sorry that is on me, but we'll get there. But that's going to do it. Eric, go ahead and sign us off as you always do.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you did, keep it poor. Go Birds.